All right, last video for today, kind of the difference to Polkadot. Obviously, Polkadot uses the same technology. They are the ones who built it. I mean, parity technology did, technically, I guess. But, so they built the same tech, and so the question that we get a lot is, how is it different? How is Glue different from their approach? And the tech stack itself isn't. It's not. The difference is the approach as to how it's implemented. So, on Polkadot, there's auctions to get what they call a parachain slot, which is what we call L2 because we feel like it makes more sense to most people. So on Polkadot, Polkadot runs the L1, and then the L2s are effectively auctioned off to third parties to build their own L2. And what that generally means is that the L2s launch different tokens, and so the L2s are not aligned to cooperate with each other, right? Because they are all effectively competing with each other for the most adoption and therefore for the highest token price, which is good for the developers. And so because of that, it feels that the ecosystem has still stayed pretty fractured, right? There's not, like, it's very hard to move from one L2 to another. There's kind of a whole bunch of trade-offs, and it doesn't seem like there has been much specialization either, right? They all largely are EVM and they largely compete with each other. So the benefit of their implementation feels less good than, I think, the cooperative approach. And so the difference is we, as the Glue Foundation and the Glue core team, will do a lot more of the L2 development. We might do partnerships, right? There's a lot of ways to partner up with different L2 providers, but it'll always have to be on the Glue token, right? That way everyone's aligned. That way it makes sense to add a L2 that is competitive, right? Because it's competitive for a certain chunk, right? Certain chunk of the dApps, the user base, etc. But because everyone works off the same tokens, suddenly it actually makes sense to do that. And so same tech stack as Polkadot, very, very different implementation, very different approach. I think culturally, we will implement the thing that makes the most sense for the users versus implementing the thing that makes the most sense for developers, which is not always the same thing. I think it aligns often, but not always. And I think just the decisions we've made until now to really be able to say, hey, what do users care about? What gives us the best usability? I think those decisions end up being very, very different than how it works if you're really optimizing for developers. So I would say same tech stack, very different business approach.